What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Bianconerizone for another video. This time the player ratings. As you can see, no Justin for player ratings because he's busy, so I'm doing it. My first one, so it's gonna be fun, I think. As always, before we get into it, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and put the notification bell on because we have some new things coming your way with giveaways also. So if you want to win, I don't know what the next giveaway is, I need to check, but if you want to win something, put the notification bell on. So yeah, let's get into it. So the player ratings for the Spezia game, a game we needed to win, we won, so that's positive. The performance was bad, it was bad, and we will talk about it during a new live in a few hours, so check that out. And we will talk about the performance and stuff more in depth as a team, and what it means basically for us moving forward with the games we have left and the games we also need to win. So we will talk about that moving forward. So let's get into the player ratings straight, and we start off with Chesney. I gave him a 7, and I know his distribution is not good, and it never has been good. So I think it would be a bit unfair for me to criticize him on that, because to be honest, I never did. So I'm not gonna do it now. But his distribution is a bit iffy at times. Like at times he takes a long time when he's under pressure with the ball, and usually he kicks it out. That's it. He struggles to find the man. But the same. Like, he's not Buffon, but Buffon struggled also a lot of his career, during his career with his kicking game. It wasn't good. So I'll put that to the side. But when he needed to make a save, he did what he had to do. And he made 2 big saves in the second half. The first one on a corner, he saved that on the line. And I would say around the 80th minute, that one-on-one from that Spezia player, that was a big save. Because if Spezia score, we're not coming back from it. Like, you can feel it. Like, you can see the game. We were creating nothing. We were not coming back from a 1-1. It would have ended 1-1. So I'll go with a 7 for Chesney, because he did what he had to do. Like, he made the saves that he had to make. And so yeah, for me, that's a 7. Because again, he didn't have a lot to do, but when he needed to do something, he came up big. So 7 for me. Then we move forward to Danilo, who I don't think he didn't had a bad game, but I've seen better from him. So I'm giving him a 6. He's, like I said it many times with Danilo, he just plays his game and that's it. He does what he needs to do. He gives you 6, 6, 6, 6, 7, 7, 6. Like, that's Danilo. And he said it himself during the week. He said, like, I know I'm not a flashy player. I'm not gonna beat 1 or 3 players, make a cross. Like, I'm not that player. He said, I know I'm important to the team's balance. And that is that's exactly what he is. Like, that's why Allegri likes him. He can play multiple positions. He's playing at the back now, which is not his preferred position, but to be honest, he zoomed up well. Like, he does that very well, and he's important to the team. Like, if you hear other players speak, he brings, how you want to say, like, he brings calmness during the game. That's what I think Morata said a few weeks back. Or was it Dybala? I'm doubted. I think it was Morata. He said he brings calmness to the team, so that's important, especially when you're dealing with so many injuries and players need to play out of position. If you have someone in that squad, especially at the back, that can calm down everyone, that's great. So I'm giving him a 6. He didn't have his best game, but he was okay. Like, he was good, solid. What you expect from Danilo, basically. So a 6 for me. And then we move on to De Ligt. For De Ligt, I'm going for a 6.5. I think he was good once again. Like, it was very good once again, and that's no surprise. We know what De Ligt is. I know fans from other teams love to mock the asking price. That's good. That's fine. Like, if they want to do it, that's their issue, problem. I don't know what it is. I'm happy we have him. I hope he stays for a long time, because he's the next one. Like, he is the leader of that backline. Like, Rugani, we will get into Rugani. He is not the leader. Bonucci, and Chiellini, they're never fit. Especially Chiellini, they're never fit. So you can be a leader. He's the leader at the back now. And I think it was around the 60th minute or something like that when I was, and that goes back to Chesney taking too long on the ball. Rugani, Cuadrado, Danilo, they were playing at the back, the ball from side to side with Arthur, and it took like 1 minute, and we were wasting time. Like, and Spezia were like, okay, now we're gonna put you under pressure, and when they did, we were a mess at the back. Like short passes, all those things, and at the end, Chesney ended up kicking that ball into the stands, and De Ligt was losing his, you know what? Like he was angry, and he was calling out everyone for wasting time at the back. Like we were taking too many touches instead of making a progress pass, because Spezia, when they were coming, we still decided to, you know what, we're gonna play at the back between ourselves, and it didn't make sense because there was room to make a forward pass, and we'll get into that later on in the video when I'm gonna talk about a different player. But like he is the leader, like he's not scared to call out his players and say, you know, this ain't it. Like you made a mistake. This needs to be better. You cannot do that. So I'm going with a 6.5 for him. And then we move on to Rugani, and for him also a 6.5. I think, like, I'm not his biggest fan. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I don't think he has a, like, how do you want to say that? The capacity to be a starter for us for the entire season. But the last 2 months when he needed to play, and he played big games, like big games, he is very reliable this season. He is. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, what happened in the past, I don't need to forget that, because I know that also is Rugani. But what he's doing now in the last 2 months at least, he's playing big games. Don't forget, like big pressure games, top games, and every time I watch him, I'm like, okay, I can trust you. And that's, well, I want to say thank God, because Chiellini and Bonucci are out, and if something happens to the leg, knock on wood that doesn't happen, because we'll be screwed. He's stepping up, Rugani, and he looks, how do you want to say it? He doesn't look out of place, because that's the feeling I had with him before he went on loan to Nice. I was like, he looks completely out of place. And people said, oh, he's not playing much. I'm like, yeah, he's a sub, so that's your role as a sub. When you are asked to play, you need to do a job. And he's doing it now, finally. He spoke after the game saying, I feel the confidence from Allegri, and I like to stay at the club, like I love it here. If he's a third, fourth option, fine. Like he can stay, because I don't think anyone is going to take on his €3.5 million wage anyway. So I'm like, okay, fine. But we need to replace one of Bonucci or Chiellini in the summer. We do. Just because of the injuries, like they're not normal anymore. But 6.5 for me for Rugani, who again played a very good game. And then we move on to Pellegrini. Now, I gave him a 5.5. I don't know. I said play him over Sandro, because Alexandro was really bad this season. Not this season, but this season he took it up another level, like in terms of being bad. So I said, like, give Pellegrini a chance. Sandro's out, so Pellegrini needs to play anyway. But I also said he's not the future. I don't think he has a future at the club. I think we need 2 new left backs. When I watch Pellegrini, I'm like, he gives me energy, which Sandro doesn't give me. But quality, to be honest, it's not there. Also, like, yeah, he has the odd cross here and there. But and defensively he's very poor. Like it's like he doesn't understand he needs to defend, or he never did that. Like, because he's out of position a lot. Same for Sandro. Like I'm just talking about Pellegrini. Like, we know Alexandro. He's out of position a lot. He makes rash tackles or rash interventions. I'm like, you don't need to do that. Just stay calm and you win the ball, or you force a player to turn back. You don't need to make a foul in that position in that moment of the game, and that he keeps doing that. Like, I'm not a big fan of Pellegrini. I'm not gonna lie. So 5.5 for me, because every time I watch him, I'm like, I don't know what you are. Like, are you an attacking full left back, which I think he is, but I'm like, it's not that great either. And defensively, it's also not good. So, but the only thing I'm giving credit for, not the only thing, but the main thing, it gives you more energy than Alexandro. Like, you can actually see he's playing. Now, if it's negative or positive, with Sandro, at times I'm like, are you on the field? But, so for me, it's 5.5. That's it. Then we move on to Cuadrado. I give him a 6. People say that should be a 6.5. That's fair. Like, I think about it. I went for a 6. Maybe it should be 6.5. I think he had a good game. Better than previous games. He actually beat his man a few times for once. The end product was not always there. He made some good. He did some good things. Like Arthur, he was unlucky to not score on an assist from Cuadrado, and then Arthur gave an assist to Cuadrado. He should have scored that. He should have put more power to that shot. It was a bit, like really, that's your finish. But he played better. He did play better. It's still not up to the standards required, but the last 3 months, 4 months has been so average from him that I'm like, yeah, this is a bit better. So I'm gonna give you 6, maybe 6.5, because I think he had a good game. Defensively, offensively, he was evolved. He did some good things compared to the last games where I'm like, why are you playing? Because you're not adding anything. Actually, yesterday, I think he did well. So it's a 6 for me. I will move on because nothing really that stood out, to be honest. And then we move on to Arthur. Now, I gave him a 6. Maybe yesterday during my max reaction was a bit harsh because he had a good game, but he does not improve in the things he needs to improve. And it's not coming from me, it's coming from Pellegrini, it's also coming from Barcelona. If you look up some of the press conferences of Valverde and the other name, I forgot the other guy's name. I forgot the name, but also like Barcelona watchers, like Romeo's for goal.com, Barcelona watchers for goal.com, they say the same thing. Like, he's good on the ball, he's trustworthy, but he keeps it simple every time. Like, and people say, oh, that's fine, keeping it simple. Like, it's fine, but at some moments in the game, you need to take a risk. And with risk, I mean, play a forward pass, play vertically. Like, and that he doesn't do. I won't say ever, but almost never. That's it. Because yesterday he had an opportunity, a few, but especially in the first half, two. He had an opportunity to play a forward pass to Vlahovic, and I think he would be 1-on-1 with the goalie. Instead, he takes 2-3 touches and he plays it out wide. And Vlahovic was going crazy because, like, you need to play that pass. Like, it was open, you need to do it. It wasn't a difficult pass. Like, it wasn't. You needed to, switch field, flip the field. Like, it was a simple pass. Like, and he didn't do that. He plays it sideways to Cuadrado, and it ends up in nothing. And in the first half also, we had a corner, and the ball ends up with Arthur, who had Roccatelli on the left, free. He had Pellegrini on the left, free, around the box. Instead of doing that, he takes a few touches, he does a pirouette, and he plays backwards to Rugani. I'm like, oh boy. Like, I get you play simple game, and at times I'm fine with that. You dictate tempo, you change the momentum of the game. But in some circumstances, you need to play that ball forward. And people say, but Allegri is fine with that. He isn't, because Allegri said it after a press conference. Not today, the previous one. He said, like, you need to take some more risk. Like, he needs to play that forward pass more often. And that's what he needs to do. And that's his biggest issue. And that's my biggest issue with him. Because I think he's not going to stay in the summer. Like, it was pretty obvious the club was trying to sell him in January. He's only playing because we have nobody else. I think in the summer, the club will do anything in their power to move him on, because Allegri doesn't like him. So, 6 for me. Then we move on to Roccatelli, who I give a 6.5. It would have been a 7.5, based on the first half, but the second half also happened. And the first half, he was amazing. Like, he was actually amazing on the ball, pure quality, winning the ball back, position wise, like interception, like he was very good, getting in there. Like, he was all over the place. It was all Roccatelli in that first half, and I was happy for him because he struggled the last few games a bit. I was very happy for him because we know what Roccatelli can do, and he was doing that yesterday, especially in the first half. He was our main player. He was actually the Roccatelli we know. That's it. And for me, he was the man of the first half. He was our best player in that first half. But then the second half, and again, not just him, the entire team, we dropped off a bit. He was still good. He was still, for me, one of the better players in that second half, but it dropped off. And we will talk about it during the live. I think we're playing many games with a limited squad. I get that, so players will get knackered. They cannot go full intensity for 90 minutes. I get that, but on the other side, you cannot say that's what you can do in the second half. You can do better. Technically creating anything. I'm not saying go 40 minutes, 45 minutes, full energy, full power forward, because I understand the team is playing a lot with the same players, so I get that. But that we do so little, I find that hard to believe. But for me, it's a 6.5. I think that's still high. He was my man of the match based on that first half, but then the second half happened, and Chesney, he did what he had to do in those 2 moments, so I gave him man of the match. But if people say 7, that's fine for me. I'm going with 6.5. Then we move on to, Rabio, who was the worst player on that pitch. And it's like we have been here over and over again. When he actually plays a decent game, the next game he stinks it out once again. And that's Rabio. That's Rabio's career at the club. And it happened yesterday. Yesterday he was awful. He was really bad. In the second half, I think he broke the record in terms of giving the ball away or losing possession. It was bad. Everything about him yesterday screamed, we need to sell him. That's why. And we do need to sell him. We need to move on from him because he's not a good player. And Allegri can say, he has potential, physicality, but he doesn't show his potential, so it's pointless. It's a bit like Bernardeschi. So it's pointless. If you don't show your potential, it's good that you might have potential, but if you're not going to show it, what's the point? And yesterday, he was bad. He was actually very bad, very bad. Sometimes I agree with people. It feels like he cannot be bothered. It's I get my money. That's the feeling I get. He loses headers. I'm like, you're such a big guy and you're losing header after header after header. And I'm like, how is that possible? It feels like he doesn't really care. That's actually the feeling you get. And I agree with a lot of people. He gives you the vibes of, I don't care. I don't actually care. I come here to play and then I'll go home and that's it. That's a vibe I get from watching him. But for me, it's a 5. And maybe that's a bit generous because he was actually really, really bad again. But we know the situation. Allegri's not going to play players like Miretti, so it's going to be him. It's going to be him. So 5 for me. And then we move on to Morata, I think. Yeah, Morata. I give him a 6.5. He scored a good goal. That goal was quality. Again, it happened but because the Spezia goalkeeper gave the ball away cheaply. It happened, but Vlahovic control, 1 touch to... I forgot the name now. 1 touch to... Who was that? Roccatelli. 1 touch to Roccatelli. And Roccatelli 1 touch to Morata. Morata 1 touch goal. So that was a quality goal. I'm happy for him. I think it's his first goal since December. That's wild. That's actually crazy. But he needed that because he is sacrificing himself for Vlahovic. So I'm giving a 6.5. I think he had a good game. The problem I have with Vlahovic and Morata up top is sometimes they try to force the ball to each other, and in some moments you just need to think about yourself, go for a shot, just make the solo run. That's something they need to improve both. But I think he had a good game, so I'm going with a 6.5 because the last game wasn't great, but I think he was good yesterday. He was actually good, and he got that goal, the winning goal at the end. So I'm going with a 6.5. And then we move on to Vlahovic. I gave him a 5.5. He didn't have a good game. It was not entirely his fault because, especially that second half, that must be very frustrating for him because The only balls he got were just Cuadrado or name it, just hoofing the ball to him, and he needs to shrug off 3 defenders to actually gain control of the ball, and then he's still 20, 30 meters from the goal. Like, it was actually insane. I felt sorry for him because you can see it was very frustrating. Like I said in my max reaction, you have a player that is a born goal scorer and you cannot give him some decent balls. I think he has a lead. Like, since he joined, I think you can count the amount of touches he had in the box coming from a player from our squad. So Cuadrado playing him the ball in the box, not him forcing him his way into the box, just receiving the ball into the box. I think if he has stand, that's a miracle, and it's actually insane. Like the balls he receives, he needs to beat 3 defenders to actually gain control, or he needs to make the run solo to go into the box, or he receives the ball around the box, and again he needs to force something. Like, it's not that we give him decent, good quality balls in the box that you're like, okay, finish it now. We don't do that. So I think he must be frustrated. He works hard. He's not static anymore, which is fine, because if you're gonna be static, the way we play, it's gonna be a problem. It's actually gonna be a problem. So he's improving that, but we gave him nothing. Like, we gave him nothing for 85 minutes. We gave him absolutely nothing, and that's a bit worrying. It is worrying. Because if you have a player of that caliber, you need to give him a good portion of the chances during the game. Good chances, good opportunities, and then it's up to him. Are you gonna score? Are you gonna miss? That's a different subject. But we struggle to give him some good opportunities. So 5.5, not entirely his fault, but 5.5. And then we move on to one of the subs, because Keane didn't play. He played like 5 minutes. Bernardeschi, I gave him a 5 for a standard sub, like standard, but he actually deserved a 5 because he was not good. Again, he's been out for a long time, but I don't expect anything from Bernardeschi moving forward. I don't. He picked up a yellow card, so he's suspended for Sampdoria. Also typical, I would say, for the moment. Like, Allegri finally gets a player back and he's suspended. Because against Sampdoria, if Chiellini doesn't make the bench, we have 10 players out, because somehow Dybala is out again. He's out again, and he might even miss Villarreal. That's actually insane. It's been a month now, I would say, almost. It will be a month, I think, in Villarreal, and it started with he has nothing. And it was what, like, but we'll talk about during the live. Bernardeschi, he came on, he had no impact, besides the negative one, he's suspended. So Allegri has 1 player less for Sampdoria away, but I don't expect anything from Bernardeschi moving forward. I don't think he's gonna offer a lot or add anything to this team in terms of improving, or in terms of getting top 4, because that's who he is. So he came on. I was like, good for Allegri as a player back, but I'm not excited, because I've watched him now 5 seasons at the club, and there's actually nothing to be excited about watching him play, in my opinion. So that's that. And then we ended with Allegri. I give him a 5.5. We play awful football. We struggle. We get dominated by a lot of teams, even at home, by teams we shouldn't be getting dominated by. It happens. I said it before, the performances are not going to improve. This is what you're going to get until the end of the season. I give him a big credit, because he's missing a lot of players, and some of those players, you can see they're knackered. After 70 minutes, you can see the intensity drops off completely. So I give him credit for that, because he's still getting those results we need to get. But I'm not saying we're playing bad because of the injuries, because we were playing bad even before the injuries. So that's not an excuse. The excuse will be, or can be, we cannot play at a full intensity for 90 minutes, because a lot of these players are playing every 3 games. Now we have a week off until Saturday, which is positive, because it's needed. It's actually much needed. So let's see if we have a different type of game on Saturday away to Sampdoria, which I think we will struggle, just because it's Sampdoria away. But let's see if the intensity rises, if we actually improve in terms of not getting run over, because that's basically the situation at times. So I'm going 5.5. So that's that. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about the player ratings, which is like I said, I give Cuadrado a score, Roccatelli, I see people giving them other scores. That's fair, but let me know in the comments. Also, live is coming up today at 3 p.m. European time, so stay tuned for that, and then we will see you in the next one. Ciao.